Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show. It is episode 92. We are back for another week. It is the international break, but we never break. My name is Paul. I'll be your host, and I am joined by Mr. Alan Williamson. How are you doing there? On camera.
I'm not too bad. That's all our deposit return scheme money coming back to us. So that's what goes into.
How much does one get for a can of Monster in the return machine?
15 cents. So I make a fortune.
It's all adding.
It's a millionaire.
Chris, if only there was a machine that would give you money for empty bottles of red wine, but sadly we're not there yet. No,
not yet. Sadly, no. But listen, I haven't had a drink all this break, but I had to have a drink today, and we're going to go into it because we're from Ireland and our national team are,
shite.
Yeah,
I said it. We're shit.
Yeah. Just say that.
As we record this, we're literally recording minutes after Ireland just had, frankly, an embarrassing defeat. Granted, it was away from home, but to fucking Armenia. 1 point from 2 games against the 2 weaker sides in that group.
Ugh.
Kids, there'll be no World Cup this year. It's not looking great. We might have a chat about that, among other things. It is the international break, but there is a Newcastle game coming soon at the weekend. We're back in action. We're back at home, and we play Wolves. Talk about winnable games. If Ireland can't do it, hopefully Newcastle can. And we may have a chat about some Irish Mags news that's popping up, and it's going to be popping up in your feeds and in our groups very soon.
Yes.
And lads, just to keep you happy and honest, because I know you've been enjoying it, we're going to have a quiz back on this week's show. Sorry, Chris Show. Better get the red wine out.
Just down here by my side here. It's ready to
just go. Down there. Before we do all that, and before we even get to the Ireland matters, just to talk about one quick thing, lads. It's been on my mind this week because it's quite topical as of yesterday. And it's not a new acronym, but it's a trending acronym in the Newcastle United world, which is APT. Krisho, do you know what APT stands for?
I don't. I didn't realize. Is this the quiz? Has the quiz started?
This is the quiz. I'll answer that.
Did you not you didn't do the homework? You didn't do the homework? No.
Actually, I've got it written down here as ATP. So
you're talking about tennis there, mate. I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I'm out.
He didn't do the work. Alan, put him out of his misery.
Associated party transactions.
I mean, what a barrel of laughs that acronym is.
Yeah, it's like the fact that I have to know about this is an absolute lot of bullshit. Like the fact that we now have to understand what is an associated party to our club so that we can worry about if they can sponsor us or not. Utter bullshit. But these are the times we live in.
Thems be the times, thems be the rules. PSR, APT, ATP, FFP, all of the above. Yeah. And it became quite topical this week as we record. It is Tuesday evening. On Monday, it was announced or confirmed that the Premier League and Manchester City had effectively settled / terminated proceedings on their open case in relation to associated party transactions even. This is nothing to do with the 115 charges that Man City are also being kind of alleged or accused of by the Premier League. However, it has steamrolled into Newcastle United chat online because this is all to do with how the Premier League look at particularly sponsorships and or investment or money being pumped into clubs from organizations or people that are in some way related to said clubs. And as you can imagine, this affects Newcastle based on the ownership model we have, the group that has ownership of the club and how money is pumped into the club or not, as that might be the case. I just thought it was worth talking about, lads, because there's a lot of chat online. Is this good for Newcastle United? Is this bad for Newcastle United? And because the word settlement is used, you kind of, when you see the word settlement, you kind of start to think, well, somebody has paid somebody else off, or somebody has dropped out or pulled back or whatever. Have the Premier League folded? Have Man City withdrawn, etc.? It's being kind of purported that there's been an agreement that both have decided to terminate the proceedings in terms of the case. And one of the things I suppose that stands out is that it's being, the statement was very limited. The information is quite limited. I think because these things go to arbitration, it's like very, first of all, complicated, but also confidential in terms of outcome. But basically, in a nutshell, what we're hearing from the statement is that Man City have accepted that these are the rules that are legally binding, and the Premier League have stated that the case is no longer active. I think what's important here, and I mentioned it to you guys, I recorded a podcast with True Faith earlier with one of the guys in there, Yusuf, who knows a lot about this stuff and reads a lot about it. The takeaway here, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts, is it looks like the Premier League, I guess it's a case that there was this whole topic about what an associated party transaction is. And Man City's argument was that they weren't including or considering shareholder loans as part of this, therefore making it not enforceable, not competitive, not fair, imagine Man City, and therefore, some way, in shape or form, not legal. So I think what the Premier League have done in the last, I want to say it's kind of the last 12 months, is that they have said, I think it was about November 24, they said, right, shareholder loans are included. So what do we mean by that? While we might have somebody like PIF who might own Sella or whoever investing in the club through sponsorship, Arsenal, for example, are a very good example. 2, 3, 4 years ago, Stan Kroenke would have given massive, basically a shareholder loan. Here's 100 million. Here's the term, 0 interest, no real schedule of repayment. Is he even getting it back? Not really. And these are two different things, but basically they're the same. So the new rules as of November 24 is that these things are the same and that these rules now apply and are applicable to everyone and therefore should be enforced. What seems to have come out yesterday is that Man City have said, okay, fine. What hasn't been said is, what are Man City getting from this? And this is where it gets interesting and leads us on to why this matters for Newcastle United. Alan, what's your take on this in terms of Man City, like effectively settling or agreeing to withdraw mutually from this discussion? Because the Premier League perspective is them saying, okay, them's the rules, these apply to everyone, and Man City appear to have said, okay, sound. Man City don't do things selflessly. There's always something in it for them. What's in it for them?
They got their deal through. They got the Qatari sponsorship through. So it's like, it doesn't matter. The Premier League have said, okay, yeah, we hold our hands up that originally the rules weren't exactly great. You can bring in your sponsorship deal, but from now on, you have to abide by the rules. Makes no sense. The other thing is, and I'm going to credit Edit Kev on Twitter, he pointed out that Man City's argument was, you cannot say to me how much this sponsorship is worth to that company because you don't know. Certain companies have a bond with certain clubs, and he used Newcastle Brown Ale as an example for us. The Premier League could not say that that is worth 2 million to Newcastle and 2 million to Leeds, because it's worth 10 million to Newcastle and 500 grand to Leeds, because it's a connection that holds a special place in everyone in the club. So they're going, no, it's more valuable to us. You cannot put a monetary value on that. And the Premier League had to concede to that. So basically, Man City have had their cake and they're going to eat it. And the Premier League are going, you're going to have to admit that our rules apply to you from now on and not do anything dodgy anymore. But they've also left the door open for them to continue doing the same thing that they have been doing by allowing them to get their Qatari deal through. So I think, personally, Newcastle should just go, fuck it. Aramco at St. James's Park, PIF at Little Benton, whatever. Who gives a shit? Just go hell for leather. Sponsor and sponsor and sponsor. And then tell the Premier League, well, he's let them do it. He's changed the rules once already with us. He's going to do it again. We'll just bring us to court over it, because it's the only way it's going to become a fair level playing field, because it's just not at the minute.
Chris Shaw.
Yeah.
It's aspirational to think that it's ever going to be a fair playing field, the way the rules are set up. The Premier League will say, you know, these are the rules. Everybody, it applies to everyone in terms, particularly focusing on these, associated party transactions, on shareholder loans. They'll say it applies to everyone. I think where we have a bit of a challenge here is, number one, they only got their rules and their shit in order about a year ago in order to actually say, okay, now we fixed it. Therefore, in theory, it should only apply from when they actually had the rules in place, meaning that teams who've then done other things before that probably getting away with it. And that's where Alan is talking about the Qatari deals and the Etihad and whoever else has been doing similar things. The problem, I suppose, then is as this goes forward and it becomes very similar to PSR, how does the Premier League say this is what this sponsorship should be worth? And the only way I feel it can be done is using precedent. So if Man City had a sponsorship deal 5 years ago that was worth 100 million, if they come along with one that's worth 5 times that, they might say, "Oh, that's very big." All of a sudden, if it's twice that, it's different. But for Newcastle sponsorship deal, Alan, keep me honest, or Christian, 5 years ago was probably, here's a few free bags of crisps or something.
Yeah.
The relativity of it all comes into question, and that's similar to PSR. So how can there ever be a fair playing field on this?
There isn't. Let's just cut the shit here, lads. Football is a business, and there's a lot of money now in football. That latest Premier League broadcasting rights deal, just in the UK alone, and then spread it across now in America and across Asia Pac, and so on. Billions and billions and billions and billions, right? The fact that the Premier League released a statement where they just said, look, they've reached a settlement, they won't be making any further comment. I don't think that's fair to the rest of the other clubs or the rest of the clubs throughout the 92 odd clubs in the UK. They definitely have to say a little bit more on this, because like Al said, there's just it's left open to interpretation that they've allowed something to go ahead. Now it says here, right, that essentially that it must undergo a fair market value review by the Premier League. It looks to me like the Premier League said, well, we have 6 lawyers and we're ready to go. And Man City turned up and went, we have 300 lawyers and we're willing to argue this point with you ad nauseum until the Premier League doesn't exist. And they did it with UEFA before, where they walked in with like 300 lawyers, and UEFA went, ooh, and just kind of went, okay, fair enough. They have, just like we do. But again, politically, we're just trying to sit in the background here and not get involved too much. But they have to check if the price is reasonable and not artificially high. But like Al said, how are they supposed to do that? How are the Premier League? They can't even referee games or schedule VAR or get it right. How are they going to do a fair market value review on Premier League sponsorship deals? The issue here, the excitement came is that I initially thought, and you guys have confirmed for me, that once this had gone through and it had been kind of settled, I thought then, okay, now we can go and, sponsor the training ground and sponsor the stadium, and we can get 1 billion a year, over the next 10 years, and pump that into our funds to kind of skew the financial figures and kind of essentially bypass PSR. But that's completely not true. We cannot do any of those things. In fact, it seems like there was a little deal done in the back garden that none of us are privy to, and Newcastle are still in the same situation. Am I correct here to say that we're in the same situation that we're in?
Yeah,
bound by PSR.
Yes.
Basically, yes. I mean, there is a world where you can say, "Oh, well, such and such clubs have done this in the past," but it's kind of a 2 wrongs don't make a right situation, because the Premier League now are going to be saying, well, it's from this point on is when the rules have applied. So I think the real issue here is that, well, number one, the things we've just mentioned, right, the relativity of it all, and big clubs will continue to be able to go big and others can't. There's no word for them to catch up with PSR, with APT, and all this shit. I think, the other problem really is that from a Newcastle United perspective, we don't seem to be trying either. No. Now, I'm not saying I want Newcastle to be Chelsea and start selling ladies' teams and hotels and the stack and whatever for that's not. You don't really want to be that. But what we aren't really doing is flirting the line and saying, well, what can we do, and testing it, because there is a fear, perhaps rightly so, that there's a big bullseye on Newcastle, because the reality of when this route came in was not when Roman Abramovich took over Chelsea, was not when the Qataris came into Manchester City, was not when the Americans went to Liverpool or Man United. It's when Saudis took over Newcastle that all this really came to light, as well as the whole, how much are you paying for a player? Alan St. Maximin, 25 million, not enough, bollocks. There is a bit of a bullseye there, and I know the club have been toeing the line. I think it's time to say, do you know what, we're big enough and bold enough to talk to you about this, to argue with you about this, because Man City, for right or for wrong, they're challenging everything. They're going at it hard. They're saying, well, fuck this, and they're willing to take them on, and obviously there's lawyers and everything. There is probably an in between where we should be pushing to the limit, but right now
They won't do it.
Not even close.
They just won't do it. The Saudis won't do it. There is like 3,000 journalists ready to write and destroy us as soon as we make any kind of move like that. They've done it. They're buying the league. This is the football's gone. The game's gone. Newcastle bought everything. Whereas it seems to be fine to take a Division 2 team like Man City with a shithole of a stadium, and now all of a sudden they're Premier League champions a couple of years in a row. At least Liverpool had a bit of history, for Christ's sake.
Now, I need to jump in on that, right? Liverpool had a little bit of history. I had an argument today over that exact statement. So the argument was between me and three of my mates, 2 Liverpool, 1 Man United, and me, right? And it was in the 70s and 80s, Liverpool were the big dogs.
Yeah.
In the 90s and 00s, Man United were the big dogs. Mm-hmm. That's why they're able to flirt with PSR. And I turned around in the 50s and 60s, we were the big dogs. We won the FA Cup 3 times. We were challenging for league titles. Oh, that's years ago. And I said, you just said to me the 70s and 80s. That is 50 years ago. I was like, I'm talking 20 years extra, and you're saying that that's too far to go. Where's the line in the sand? Why have you decided, now we can say that's too far? PSR comes in at this point, and you're going, it doesn't really work like that. They closed the gate after the horse bolted to stop anyone else joining that cartel, and that's all it is. I absolutely hate that we have history. We deserve it. Nottingham Forest have history. Aston Villa have history. Newcastle have history. Everton have history. Every single club has history.
Sure, yeah.
That argument of we have been over the last 30, I don't give a shit what you done 30 years ago. I do not care. At the end of the day, what happened last season doesn't really matter. It's what's happening this season is what matters. And if we have someone who's willing to come in and sponsor our club for 700 million, who are you to stop him? Name me one other business in the world where someone can go, oh, hang on a minute. It's not fair that you're able to sell your product at 75 cents instead of €1 because John down the road can't afford to lose that money in the same way that you're able to afford to lose that money. That's what a business is. It's about profit and loss. It's about taking chances, and it's about what is and isn't fair. That's not how real life works. If they want to do it, that it's run like a business, which you have said, they're trying to run it like a business, and they are running it like a business. The Premier League want as much money as they possibly can get into it. I can guarantee you, if Newcastle starts spending big money, more people will watch us. We will join that big six. We'll kick Spurs and Man United out of it. Like that. The Manchester United will not be able to compete with us financially within 2 years if we were allowed to have a go at it. It's nauseating how we've been kept out of it.
And I think the big issue here then is it's clubs vote it's come from the Premier League, but by and large, particularly with the APT stuff and even PSR, the majority of clubs have voted in favor of that. Yeah. Because equally, even though it does keep the bigger teams or the historically bigger teams or the cartel, whatever we're calling them, at the top of the food chain, the other clubs are spinning off that because all those clubs, they know how much revenue and money they drive for the Premier League as a whole. Whereas it was Newcastle, it was City, it was Forest, and was it Villa that voted against, for example, the Associated Party transactions. So it's a tricky one. And it's something we could talk about all day. But I think the bottom line is that, we're talking about things being run as a business. Some of these clubs are ridiculously in debt. It's not really paying attention to how much Man United are in debt. It's just looking at the revenue they generate. And then the kind of certain things that are recorded then look like profit when you compare it to that. Club's still fucking in debt and sacking people all over the shop.
So there's another just real quick point here, right? And it encompasses all of this, right? And I'm not sure whether Man City played too much in it, but the Premier League broadcasting and so on and everything else, and the inception of it, 92, 93 onwards, right? When people start tuning in, paying subscriptions, so on, so on, so on. A lot of the broadcasting, Sky, BT, so on, and international distribution have been because of the success of a certain number of clubs who, without doubt, get favorability and have better contacts. They've had their backs scratched both ways. Man United senior personnel, Liverpool senior personnel, Spurs senior personnel, Chelsea senior personnel. They added excitement. Excitement breeds money. Excitement breeds fans, and it was good for the broadcasting, it was good for the government, it was good for tax, it's good for everything. I think a lot of people make this point that Newcastle haven't actually done anything other than the entertainers era back in the late 90s. Now, wait. Now, that added massively to the Premier League, right? And in terms of viewing figures and everything else, we were televised nearly every week. And yet there's something, and I'm going to just, we could talk about this all night, but there's definitely something that the fact that this is Saudi Arabia, it's purely political at the very higher echelons of the Premier League and within the UK government. I think that they expected the Saudis to come in and to build out the Northeast, provide jobs, factories, better infrastructure, and really invest in the Northeast. They haven't done that either. Now, mind about our club, they haven't invested in the region just as yet. Maybe that they had promised before.
But why would they when they're not able to have a serious crack at the Premier League? Why would they bother their arses investing in the country if the country aren't willing to let them do what they want in their little toy project? There's no benefit for them. They have hamstrung themselves in that sense. Why would the Saudis go, all right, we'll pump 600 million into Newcastle and build a new shopping centre, for example, when they're not allowed to go out and buy a football player for 50 million?
Therein lies the football debate, the moral debate, the business debate, the financial debate. Debates that we will not be solving on the Irish Max Show, boys. But it actually is good to, I mean, it's, as Alan pointed out at the top of it, it's shit that we need to even think about these things, let alone understand it and talk about it. But it is a real part of our world. So
football was a sport. Yeah, football was a sport. Now it's more fans are talking about the business aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it is good to talk about it because this shit comes into our love of football and our love for the club. And I think it's good to understand it. Otherwise, it drives you mad. And the takeaway for this, I think, largely from this whole APT thing, I don't really read it that all Man City are winning coming away from this. But they're definitely not losing. And I think the reality, if we were just to focus on Newcastle, like anything, other teams that have gone before have managed to get away with it, and we're not. And it doesn't really open the doors for us. But I think as a club, it's time for us to get big enough and bold enough to start pushing it a little bit. And hopefully it starts with getting the right people in the door, because that was another piece of news that happened since the last pod. Our new CEO is in the house, David Hopkinson, I think is the name.
Yes. All right, buddy. Canadian dude.
Again, it's a bit soon to be talking about that. I think over the next couple of weeks, we might talk about where do we think his attention will be. But we'll let the man get settled in his desk. He probably has a few faxes from Chris Shaw to get through.
Well, did you know he's getting married in Newcastle in a couple of weeks?
Who, Chris Shaw?
No. David Hopkinson. So the first thing he's doing pretty much is getting married in Newcastle. So there you go. He's obviously loves it.
This guy is a slick, lads. I'm glad he's our little corporate snake. This guy is a slick. Did you see his interviews? Well. See his interviews and stuff walking around St. James's Park like he already owns the place. What he done for the New York Knicks, the New York Rangers, and that whole organization. And
MSG, mental.
Mental. I mean, he increased their revenue by like 1 billion%, and the teams actually started to do a little bit better than they have done in the last half a decade or so. So, look, we've got some proper smarts here. They've gone and got a proper smart fella in. I don't know how. I just want a training ground or a training wear sponsor, and I want the stadium to be sponsored, and I want more money, and I don't want this, whatever happened this summer, to ever happen again. And I hope this guy helps that.
I think he will. I think a director of football will be quite quickly in the door following him, I would imagine. That'll be our next.
Who's going to be that Rangers fella?
The Nottingham Forest, whose name is not King. What's his name? I can't remember his name. It's going out of my head.
What's his name?
Can't even remember. We'll wait till he's in the door. I mean, now that the transfer window's closed, these will be
Ross Wilson. Ross Wilson. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he looks like he's not already done and dusted, but he looks like he's fairly nearly signed, sealed, and delivered. So.
Which hopefully will be a good thing. We need to get these people in, right? We need to get people in for the long haul.
Speaking of people missed it. Speaking of like the director level people, Amanda Staveley, who's on the High Performance podcast, and it's very interesting.
She was apparently linked with trying to get Spurs now that Daniel Levy is out. I don't think it's going to happen. But
she came out and said she's not interested in buying them. She released a statement saying it's not happening.
Wowza. So much going on, lads. This is becoming a business pod. Let's shift away from all business And let's move into slightly more depressing business because, yes, we are the Irish Newcastle United Supporters Group, but let's not forget we are Irish. We're all a bit fucking down after watching that train wreck against Armenia.
Yikes.
Yikes, indeed. So we could talk for a few minutes, seeing as I need to get it out of my system because it was either that or go to the pub, and then we wouldn't have had a podcast. Alan, is this... I've sent about the same message into maybe 5 or 6 different WhatsApp groups to just say this is as bad as we've ever been. Is that as bad as we've ever been?
No, I'll say we're slightly better than when we were under Kenny, because Kenny hadn't a fucking clue. At least Hal Grimson has a slight idea that he wants us to try attack. Kenny just didn't. But we're just absolutely septic. That we don't have a midfielder. Defensively tonight, we were all over the shop, which we're usually solid enough. We usually lose 1 or 2-0, and it's look, we're beaten by Portugal, X, Y, and Z. It's Armenia, and 2-1 flattered them. They scored twice, and once, and it was disallowed, and then they were knocking on the door a fair few times. It's Armenia, lads. I'm genuinely serious when I say I thought you'd get a team out of Phoenix Park that beat them, but we didn't lay a glove on them. 2-1 was a flattering result. That midfield, I don't understand. That midfield that they attempted to play today, shocking. Evan Ferguson is the only one that can really hold his head up high. He looks slightly better than he ever had in an Ireland jersey. Not giving him any plaudits here. He looks slightly better. But that's because every other single player in an Ireland jersey was absolutely shite.
Yeah,
it's just awful.
Kelleher was mad at a matchup. Do you know what I mean?
Kelleher kept us in it. Kept us in it. Yeah, 100%.
But that's the one thing. The fact that your keeper is man of the match playing the team that are ranked 105th in the world.
Yeah.
And not only are they 105th in the world, they've actually been really shit for the last few years.
Their last 2 wins at home have been against Ireland and Ireland. That just tells you their last 3 games they conceded 21 goals before tonight.
They lost 6-1 to Georgia. They drew 2-2 with San Marino. I mean, look at. I was watching it tonight, and I was thinking, well, we don't have a midfield. This is great. They had more bite. They had more fight. They wanted it more. Why wasn't Scales on from the start? And then I was like, hang on, what's the story with the pitch? Did somebody come on before the start of the game with a really bad golfer and chop it up with an 8-iron? It just fell to pieces.
They played against Portugal at the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, they played against Portugal the weekend, and it was also the average temperature in Yerevan this month is 35 degrees.
So and then they went to drown the pitch.
Yeah, so I can't really blame the pitches. I don't care. You know what you're expecting when you go to these former Eastern Bloc countries. It's just going to be carnage, and that's exactly what it was. And we cannot handle it.
Yeah, I mean, a positive, I guess. Not in Irish positive, but at least let's put Newcastle post on it. Just European or World Cup qualifier stuff is Sandro Tonali scoring the last minute winner against Israel. I mean, let's not get all political here, lads. I'm just saying it happened. I'm not going to say anything else, just in case I get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Christ! But look
at
that tonight. That
was a cross.
That tonight was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Ever.
Yes.
It's in top 3 of the worst performance. Shea Given was speechless at the end of it. He was speechless. He was like, these are one of the worst teams that are in this whole qualifying. And we nearly got beaten 3-4-1. Awesome.
In the 180 minutes of international football that we've watched over this little break, Ireland were good for about 20 minutes.
Ugh.
We're just shite.
And the reason it's probably appropriate to talk about it on this podcast, not only because we're Irish, is that sometimes it reminds you of being a Newcastle fan.
That's exactly it.
You go and you play a team, and we start brilliantly for 10, 15 minutes, and you nearly have that goal, but you don't score it. And then you get casual, you think, okay, yeah, we'll be okay here. And then the momentum flips or a moment happens. In this case, Armenia just fucking slices open. And then you lose the whole run of the game, and then we're suddenly having to... you're relying on this big rallying at halftime or towards the end of the second half. It's just too little, too late. Mm-hmm. You got to fucking capitalize at the beginning, and you got to maintain control. And I watch Ireland, and I just get such our like Newcastle flashbacks. I think it makes us as fans more easy to take it because we're used to it, or we have been used to it over the years. But yeah, it's really hard to watch. And just I suppose to finish, lads, because I've seen a few tweets. There's a few polls going around. Should the manager be sacked now?
No.
Not even finish the campaign.
No. It's not his fault. You can't magic players. You can't pull players out of his arsehole. As I said to you before the podcast, if I was Hal Grimson, what I would do is I'd go to the FAI and I'd say, right, I want someone from the FAI in every single professional football club in England, Germany, over the next 6 weeks. I want someone into everywhere and go, can any of you play for Ireland? Do any of you want to play for Ireland? We are crying out for players. And that might not be, but we should be for. When we were decent back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, half the team was English. Let's not beat around the bush.
No, look, you're right. You're right. Look at, but with the announcement by the FAI that they're basically just going to throw out everybody without their pensions and just give them redundancy and throw them out. I'm not sure if we have that going forward. There's a lot of eruptions in the background, right? Mikey Johnson, is his name Mikey? Mickey? Yeah. Mikey. Scottish fella. Yeah, plays for, I don't know, West Bromwich Albion, Norwich. Yeah. Christ on a stick. And I say that very rarely, lads, but Christ on a stick, that guy is terrible. And the last touch of the game, just as we were hoping to lob another long ball without Niall Quinn and Tony Cascarino, put it away, was to him. And he just let it go out for a throw-in. And I thought, how is he playing for my country? I'm going to say it here right now. The three of us here, yeah, okay, I smoke a little bit, so maybe I'd get on for 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Al would have scored at least 3 goals tonight. Paul, you would have been doing some quality defensive midfield work. You know what I mean? I would back you to the hilt against at least 9 of them that were playing tonight. That Cullen fella, Christ on a stick. Also, yeah, and that's my namesake from my nanny side. This guy is dreadful. I don't even know how he's playing in the Premier League, right, for Burnley.
I mean, this is where I come back to where I have a few questions about the manager. Like Cullen is playing for Burnley. Cullen's captain of Burnley.
Yeah,
and actually had a very good game. I know it was last week, the week before. He was like man of the match in one of their games.
Yeah,
so you have that, right? And then I still think that's a big question marks just defensively, and we shouldn't have to ask questions about the defense against fucking Armenia. But we have Nathan Collins, who Premier League defender, right, has been linked to a lot of clubs, is playing for a very good club. Darragh O'Shea was in the Premier League last season. Ryan Manning was in the Premier League last season. Jake O'Brien is in the Premier League currently. I don't know what
Liam Scales, Matt Doherty.
Yeah, like there's players there, but the defense was all over the top. They were carving us open, the gaps between the defenders. Now, you could say, are the defenders shit? I don't think all defenders are shit. Maybe they're used to having better defenders beside them. But the basics 101 is get your back four right, and it was an absolute shambles. So that's where I'd be a little bit more putting it back on the manager. But we won't, like APT and PSR, we won't be solving that, lads. But it's a good place to rant. And listeners, if you feel like having a rant, feel free to do the same in the comments below or get involved, as I'm sure they are while we speak in the WhatsApp groups, lads.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, look, World Cup hopes already are looking a bit grim. And again, from a Newcastle perspective, we've got a good few young Irish lads who'll be looking at this going, where, what's my Ireland future going to be if there is one? And that's a little bit grim indeed. But yeah, just to see if they can react and if they can bounce back in the next international break, which is when? 4 weeks from now, another one.
Isn't that 5 weeks? I think it's middle of November. Yeah.
It ain't far. It never far away. Okay. We'll park that. We've got that out of our system, lads. We talked about shitty stuff, APT, fucking, and internationals and Ireland and all the stuff we just don't really want to talk about, isn't it? Let us move on, because Newcastle United are playing in the Premier League this weekend. Did you know? Did you know?
We're back. We are back.
And just around the corner from that is Champions League, but we'll be talking about that next week on the pod. Alan, we are back. We are at home to Wolves on Saturday, the 13th of September, 3:00 kickoff. This is a big one for me. I'll tell you a few reasons why. Number one, we haven't really won a game. I haven't actually won a game in the Premier League this season yet. But I think even bigger than that, we have a mixed record of coming back from international breaks. But equally, you come back from an international break. Today, Voltemade was back in training after being away with Germany. Tonali's been with Italy. Wiss has been overplaying with the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Scoring goals.
You're bringing all these lads back, having not properly really trained together. The biggest question, Alan, is if you're Eddie Howe, how are you approaching this just in terms of picking an 11 to play Wolves on Saturday?
Oh, it's going to be quite a difficult one because, as you said, Vissa is away scoring goals in the Democratic Republic of Congo, not training with the team, where Voltemade is back training with the team. So he's going to have a call to make because we have to start a striker. Asula, I love you. We should have sent you to Eintracht. I know why we didn't. I understand why we didn't. He should have gone to Eintracht, but it's not happening neither here nor there. We need a striker. We need a focal point. I'm not going to say I don't think it's going to be Vissa, but if he's flying home tonight, say it's Tuesday into Wednesday, he'll be all over the place Wednesday, kind of back to normal on Thursday, might train Friday and we have a match on Saturday. He might have one session with the team.
Here's a question for you. If he was still playing for Brentford and if Brentford are playing on Saturday, do you think he'd be playing for Brentford?
Absolutely, because he knows the system. It's because he's a new signing is where it gets iffy. So it's gonna be a serious call to make about who starts up front. I don't know.
Get off the fence, Alan. Who's it going to? What is the front three going to be before we can work our way through the rest? And then I'm going over that.
Front three. It's going to be Elanga, Barnes, Voltemade.
Wowza, that's a big call. Krisho, what are your thoughts? Same question, particularly revolving around that front three, considering the international break, new players, post-transfer window, big game at home. What are you doing?
I'm going to put Joelinton because I'm going to put Ramsey in the midfield. Joelinton on the left, Elanga on the right, and Wissa up the middle.
That's way too defensive for what we're at home.
Look, Joelinton's a beast. Yeah, have a bit of creativity. He'll cover Ramsey when Ramsey's running through the middle, kind of playing quasi 10. He'll come back a little bit. It'll be an interchange. It'll be sexy. You want to call it sexy? I'll call it sexy. Yeah.
For a man who used to play up front, he has very little creativity. He is a bruiser. or
really quickly, right? Wissa on the left, Big Nick up the middle, and Elanga on the right.
3 new signings in a front three is the least Eddie Howe thing I've ever heard.
Come on,
like just, in terms of like things Eddie Howe is unlikely to do, I don't hate the idea. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm all for just shaking things up. You would just be a little bit amazed if Eddie Howe, because he's just not that much of a risk taker, I think.
I'll throw another curveball at you then, right? What about Murphy on the right, Barnes up top, Elanga on the left?
I think the only way that would happen for me, Alan, would be had Barnes already scored or looked like he was threatening to score this season, and he hasn't. Now, I do think he will go Barnes again. I think he should go Barnes again because we need to get Barnes off the mark and we need to get some confidence into him. And he has scored against Wolves before, I believe.
That worldie of a goal a couple of seasons ago. Cuts in 30 yards out, top corner. Unreal.
Exactly, yeah. So that's kind of, I think, where we need to get with Barnes. Gordon's out for a little while and we're just going to need him, right? My take on this is not that far away. So we play Wolves on the 13th. And then on Thursday, the 18th, we have another home visit against the lowly minnows of Catalonia and Barcelona coming to St. James's Park. This is where it gets interesting because if you're Eddie Howe, you do need to think about both these games all of a sudden on top of the international break in the transfer window. That's where I kind of think Wissa plays against Wolves. I think it's an easier key into a lock to fit with Wissa kind of leading the line and probably Barnes and Elanga either side, maybe even Murphy, but probably Elanga.
Gordon in the Champions League.
Gordon can play in the Champions League. And that's where I think you might see Gordon, but depending on how Wissa goes, we'll see. You could see Big Nick up front, and that's where you might see Elanga then on the right. And that gets very interesting very quickly to see how Barcelona will handle the pace of Gordon. They'll play a high line. Voltemade is a handful, not known for kind of making those channel runs. the way former number 9 or former number 14, I should say, used to.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting selection dilemmas all over the shop for Eddie Howe. But we kind of need that. That's a good thing, because
great thing.
It's not that long ago we were playing Dortmund or PSG or Milan, and we had no choice but to play the 11 players we had, which included Lewis Miley and whoever.
Just on one other thing, we've all forgotten that John Linton got injured before the international break.
Is he all right though? No, is he not?
He had to pull out of the Brazil squad. I don't think he's going to be fit for this game, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Ramsey start instead of him.
Yeah,
because Ramsey's just that little bit more creative. Ramsey looks like Willock when Willock was at his best, but it also looks like we haven't seen the best of Ramsey, which is amazing to say. He looks like he has another level to go to, and it could be very, very important for us, because he looks like he has that. He could break down the low blocks that we could never seem to break down.
I specifically enjoyed the fact that we signed Ramsey, and I think he's shown how quality of a player he is, how fluid he is. I think he's an excellent addition to the squad. I'm really looking forward to him getting a chance. I don't know, can he play? Where can he play? Can he play the left-hand side of a front three? No, he's a midfielder, right? He can play the left-hand.
You don't really get the width and the kind of explosive kind of either wide player or cutting inside. He's drifting in a bit earlier. He wants to be on the ball. The ball goes through him a lot more. So you're more likely to see him against Wolves at home. I'd be fine with it, by the way, because I think the Wolves are going to get relegated this season. I would have no problem with Tonali, Bruno, and Ramsey as your midfield three, and then any of the threes that we just named as the front three. I think Wolves at home is the game to do that. Barcelona at home, maybe not necessarily. Yeah. They've got arguably the best midfielder in the world in Pedri. Never mind the boys that play alongside him. So that'll be interesting.
If Joe Linton is kind of 80%, 85% ready, right, he definitely will keep him for Barcelona. He won't play him against Wolves.
There's no point. The only other thing I can say is if he plays a back five, it's absolutely madness. I do not understand why we're playing a back five against teams we should be beating. We shouldn't have played it against Leeds. We absolutely should not play it against Wolves. If we want to play that against Man City, Arsenal, Barcelona, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
We do not need to play it against teams we should be going out and beating. If you want to go into the Champions League, you should be going to Leeds and getting 3 points, not playing a back five.
So look at who Eddie Howe was at centre back himself, wasn't he? He's got a kind of a bit of a luxury now, even though Poire Lachelle's got knocked out of the Champions League squad, so he won't be playing against Barcelona anyway. But who do we think the back four? To mind the flanks, we know who's playing left back and right back. We know that. Who should be the pairing this part of the season? Who? Because I think he's a Sharon Byrne guy. No matter who the hell we signed, he's going to stick with Sharon Byrne.
Well, the reason he's going to stick with Sharon Byrne is because they have not done anything to warrant being dropped. You cannot just bring someone back in because of their price tag, because they're a better player, X, Y, and Z. Dan Byrne's an England international. At the end of the day, Dan Byrne is a starting England centre-half. So he has every right to command that place. And he has been arguably our best player this season, which is embarrassing.
I think that the thing to remember with these two, we're all looking at going, there's not as much pace and, there's limitations on both. But out of everyone that's been there for the last few years, these two have nearly always been available and haven't really let Eddie Howe down. There's been times when individually one has been turned easily or the other one has been caught out or whatever. But as a pair, Eddie Howe probably trusts the hell out of these. But right now, because Krisha, the interesting part of your question was this part of the season. If we look at these next two games, it's it's not the end of the world to have those two, because if you're just thinking about strikers, it's Jorgen Strand Larsen, a big awkward unit of a fella. Dan Byrne loves that battle, and you've got Lewandowski, who, granted, arguably still even one of the best strikers in the world, but isn't going to be making those mad runs past the centre backs, and that's where you're relying on Lewis Hall or Tino Livramento particularly to deal with then the speed or the pace that's on the wings, whether that's Wolves or in particular Barcelona when you're looking at Yamal and if it's Rashford, if it's Rafinha. So it's going to be a big test. But right now I feel like it would take Cher or Byrne or both to make some clear mistakes to then say, right, it's a turn for Botman or a turn for Malik Chow. And I think if and when that happens, one of them's coming in and one of them probably won't go back out.
No.
And that would be okay.
Chow, Botman, Ramsdale get a game either this Saturday or against Barcelona. One or the other.
No.
I mean, it's hard. It would be hard to believe, to be honest. It would be hard to believe for both sides, Christian. Against Wolves, unless he really wants to see one of them in action, I think he'd chance it.
He'd have to. But, I mean, I know he gets to see them in training and stuff.
He may also need the two. He may also be thinking, well, these two boys need to know their first choice, and they're going to be first choice against Barcelona. Let's just keep them going. Eddie Howe's under no pressure to play Botman or Chow, technically, as much as we'd like to see.
They have to earn their spot. And I am a firm believer in you do not just give someone anything because, you signed him for 30 million, so that means he has to start. Absolutely not. He has to earn that spot. They have to work their way into that squad. And don't get me wrong, they can be disappointed. I'd be worried if they weren't disappointed. If they weren't going, here, what's the story? Why can't they get a game? And Eddie Howe's not going, have the lads done that wrong? No? Okay, well then would you be happy if I dropped you because someone knocked on the door and said I want to play? No, you wouldn't. So this is the predicament you're in. You have to earn your spot, and that's the end of it.
It's not like how we just handed Chriso a spot on the Irish Mags show. And we
just
what
the hell?
He didn't earn it.
Nobody else applied.
I've earned it, all right. He's
earned it.
Look,
he's still here.
I just don't want this classic thing, Al, of Shar or Byrne. Byrne, like you said, is needed. But Shar, look, I just don't want it to be a mistake or two or three mistakes in a game, and people think, right, that is Shar cooked because Chow's coming in then, and Chow's gonna, like you said, once one of them come in, they're staying in. They're 100% staying in. But like, what? We're going to give Shar just a couple of games just to see it, like if he can just maintain it, and then when he makes a terrible mistake, like Trippier,
the problem is he hasn't done it this season yet. So it's very hard. I think that's Alan's point, is that hasn't happened yet. I know what you mean. Are we just waiting for it to happen? But if he hasn't done anything to get himself dropped, Eddie Howe, arguably one of the most loyal managers out there, might be happy to stick with him. But again, only time will tell. A lot of games this season, and I think even if Shar and Byrne are our centre back pairing now for the next 2 games, for the next month, the next 6 weeks, whatever, they may not. They probably won't be the same towards the end of the season, depending on how far we go across.
We play Bradford. Is it Bradford, isn't it, in the cup in 2 weeks? 2 weeks time. That's when you'll see all these boys play. You'll see Ramsdale. You'll see Shaw. You'll see Botman. That's when we'll see that.
Yeah,
might
even see Emil Kraft. Right, let's focus on Wolves, lads. Predictions for this game. Alan Williamson, starting with you. Put your money where your mouth is.
4-0 to Newcastle.
Love it. Where are we seeing goals come from?
We're going to see goals come from Harvey Barnes, Yohan Wissa, Valtamade, and Dan Burn. Yes, the 2 strikers are getting their goals.
Nice. Crucial.
Yeah, I done a piece up. I said I was going to mention, but I did a piece up for the new Irish Mags newsletter that's coming out this week, hopefully, to all our paid up members and so on.
Spoiler alert.
Stealing my thunder.
I didn't. No, I didn't need to be stealing any thunder, but no. Sorry, no. I did predictions for the next games of September, and I said if Big Nick plays, it'll be 4-0, and he'll score a hat-trick. And if Wissa plays, it'll still be 4-0, and Wissa will probably get 2. So look, we have a striker now. We have 2 interesting strikers. One is proven. One is we don't know that much about him. He seemed a bit slow, frankly, in some of the footage I saw in the training. But
he's not a quick striker. He's an intelligent striker, and he's very good on the ball. But yeah, he's not going to. If the ball's played over the top between him and the centre half is probably going to win it. He is also 6'6". You have to remember that.
Yeah. No, I kind of thought to myself like that. I'm slightly concerned that he's going to need a good while to get up to the Premier League. The Premier League's intense and ferocious. This guy's going to get knocked on his arse a little bit. I know he's still 6'6", a big guy. He looks like he can turn on a sixpence, but he can't run away from the sixpence very quickly. I've just got an awful worry like that he's going to get targeted and hit hard at least with Wissa, we know that he can get away and trickery and 1-2s and score goals.
Honestly, if you think Dan Burn hasn't kicked him up the arse in training a few times already, and Dan Burn's playing tonight, I think the lads will have gotten him ready for the Premier League in training. He will have to. They'll have to turn around and go, look, this is a little bit more hectic. You're gonna have to get used to it. You're gonna have to understand that you're gonna get a smack. You're gonna get this. You're gonna get that. He'll be well up for it. Don't worry about it.
All right. Okay.
Time will tell. I think we'll see. I think we'll see Wissa start. I think we'll see Wissa score along with Barnes and probably Elanga. I just think that front three should be too much for Wolves. 3-0 win. Take it. Get the hell out of there. Move on. Champions.
Get the hell out of Dodge.
Alan, where will we be watching? Where will we, as the Irish Mags, be watching Newcastle against Wolves this weekend?
So, the usual spot of Bleecker Street Bar in Dublin. We will be watching it. So, there you go. It's up on the screen now. But we also have a nice little meetup in the County Bar in Liberty Square, Thurles, Tipperary. So I'm going to give you the air code here. It's E41C580. So anyone in and around either of those spots, come on and join us for the Magnus that is our meetups. So we're well looking forward to it. And we're live on Premier Sports for anyone who can't get to one of our meetups. Premier Sports from 2:45 on Saturday. That's a Sunday. 2:45 on Saturday. We are on the television.
Well, just so everybody's aware and all our listeners as well, I'm going on a scouting mission to Bilbao. So I'm going to go see Athletic Bilbao versus Alaves on Saturday night. So I won't be at any of the meetups. Thank God. There's a lot of you. But I will be sending videos and pictures and crackology from Bilbao.
Scouts
can't be drunk on sangria and all that kind of stuff.
That's not written in anyone's contract. Just on Bilbao, did any of you see your man getting banned for 10 months from Bilbao and what he got banned for?
No.
So he got done for doping, right? He got done for doping. He took anti-hair loss tablets, and that's the funniest reason anyone has ever been banned for doping I've ever seen.
Oh, that is awful. Look at I see what you mean now. That's so unfair.
Man. Yeah, unbelievable.
He has it tough enough because he's bald. Never mind having to go down like that. But Jesus Christ. Okay, well, watch out for your anti-hair loss drugs that you're taking, folks. They may get you in some trouble.
I don't have any. I'm not taking any. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you saying, Paul? I didn't say anything.
I just know you've never not worn a hat on this podcast, but that's all I'm going to say on the matter, Chris Show.
The 100th episode. I told you, the 100th episode.
100th episode. It's only in 9 weeks' time, lads. 9 weeks' time. Alan, I might see you in the Bleecker this weekend. All things going well. I may be just to keep your eyes on that one. And speaking of traveling meetups, we also have a date in the calendar for anyone who fancies an away day of sorts. We have marked out the game against Nottingham Forest on Sunday, the 5th of October. Alan, correct? 2 p.m.?
Sunday, the 5th of October, 2 p.m. We are going to Tipperary. We are going back. Are we going to the County Bar down in Tipperary? We're away to Forest. We're at home to Forest that day, I think, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're at home to Forest that day. So the reason we picked this match is because it's on the telly. It's going to be an accessible game, and it's a game that we can get to and from in the same day. I know a couple of people questioned why we don't pick away days. We tried to pick away days, but they just weren't working out. Now, the other thing is we're going to be doing more Irish Mags away days for ourselves, so we'll be off gallivanting around the country again. So if you want us to come down and join you, get in touch with us and we'll do it. Or as we always say, if you want to set up your own meetup, get in contact with any of us and we'll do our best to set it up for you, or to at least help you set it up. Don't worry about that.
Big time. It's a long way to Tipperary, but not that long.
Hey.
And there are also meetups being planned already for the Barcelona game as well. In a couple of other
yes.
Always have them. So more to follow on that very, very soon. Right, lads.
Yeah.
I know we promised it, and I'd hate to let you down, but I'm going to enforce a speed round rule here on this quiz because I reckon between you can manage this one, lads. The return of the quiz, seeing as it's international break, and seeing as we speak, there are 2 Newcastle United players. There's also one former Newcastle player playing, but we won't talk about that. We have 2 Newcastle players currently starting for England against Serbia tonight.
Yeah.
Therefore, I want to ask you, lads. I have a list in front of me of 24 players who have been capped for England while playing for Newcastle since 1990. 24 players that have earned an England cap as Newcastle players since 1990. Chris Show, as always, just because you know why, you get to go first.
Alan Shearer. Oh, thank God.
Alan Shearer is correct. He's pulling the big ones out, Alan.
That's allowed.
Show 1, Alan nil. Go.
Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon is correct, starting for England tonight. They are 3-0 up as we speak. Is correct. Chris Show.
Jermaine Genius.
Jermaine Genius is correct. Between 2003 and 2005, 13 caps as a Newcastle player. Alan.
Big Dan Bourne.
Big Dan Byrne didn't start tonight, but did start in their last game and is on the bench. 3 caps so far earned. Chris Show.
Anthony Gordon.
Just
said Anthony Gordon. Yeah. I'll let it slide. I'll give you a quick chance if you can get one within 3 seconds.
I've got like years here. Like I'm trying to write years.
Just give me a name.
Rob Lee. Jesus, Rob Lee.
Rob Lee is correct. 21 caps between 1994 and 1998. Alan.
Tino Livramento.
3 caps so far, and I think the 4th one could be tonight, actually, because he did start against Serbia in that game. 3-3. Chris Show. David Batty. 25 caps between 1996 and 99. Correct.
Lewis Hall.
2 caps earned as a Newcastle player, both last year in 2024.
Against Ireland, weren't they?
Both, maybe.
I think they were.
Could it show?
Hang on. I've got World Cup dates written down in front of me.
Again,
just give a name. Yeah.
Peter Beardsley. No, wait.
Well, he gave it like he pulling them out of his
arse. Correct. 25 caps earned between 86 and 96, which of course was after 1990. Alan.
Trippier.
Kieran Trippier, 19 caps so far between 2022.
19.
As a Newcastle player.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Chris Show.
Well,
he's going to start picking out like the stadium.
Yeah.
Michael Owen.
18 caps between 05 and 08 is correct.
He picked up his injury while on playing for England. Remember that?
He nearly played more for England than he did for Newcastle, but anyway, we won't talk about that.
Alan.
Nicholas Pope.
Nick Pope. 2 caps only, both in 2022. It's been a while for Nick.
King Les Ferdinand.
Les Ferdinand. 6 caps between 95 and 1997 is correct. Alan.
Callum Wilson.
5 caps, including World Cup cap 22 and 23. Chris Show.
Steve
Howie. 4 caps between 1994 and 1996. Correct. Alan.
Jonathan Woodgate.
Ooh, Jonathan Woodgate. 1 cap as a Newcastle United player.
What?
In 2004. Was always injured.
Ooh. Yeah, it's probably.
That was a brave one.
I just assumed he got a load of caps.
Warren Barton.
Yeah.
Warren Barton, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod, and he told us who the cap was against. Yeah, he played against us.
Against Ireland. Oh, baby, it was 0-0
against Ireland. He has 2 caps. 2 caps as a Newcastle United player.
Yes.
In 1995. Correct.
Yes.
Right, lads, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players left on this list. Someone's going home unhappy, unless it's a draw.
Kieran Dyer, has he been said?
Kieran Dyer has not been said. Kieran Dyer earned 32 caps between 1999 and 2007. Good shout. Now, lads, we're down to the last 6 players.
Did I already say Peter Beardsley?
Yes. You sure did.
Chris Waddle didn't play.
Oh, one just came to my head.
Was it Chris Waddle?
No.
Chris
Waddle was pure pre-90 now.
If he guesses it, I'll give him a tell him whether it's correct or not.
I don't have any. I don't know. I don't have the rest of Chris Waddle.
Chris Waddle, unfortunately, is incorrect. He would have played for England, but not as a Newcastle player. His last cap as a Newcastle player was 1985.
85, Jesus.
Yes. Alan, to take a lead.
Someone who got a call up and then immediately left us a couple of weeks later. Andros Townsend.
Andros Townsend is correct. He was on loan when he got that cap, but he did get it in 2016. Good shout. Alan takes the lead. Chris Show, there's 5 players left on this list. I'm very, very certain that you will know all 5 of them.
Can you give me like kind of a,
I'll give you a hint.
A time range.
I'll give you a hint for one of them.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a time range, right? Because I'm going to just give you the most recent one of them, of the 5 left, is 2010. Prior to that, 2007, 2006, 2004, and one from the 90s.
Definitely know 2 of them.
I don't. I mean, I'm blank. I don't.
Okay, if you're blanking, then we'll let Alan shout a few. He takes a lead and probably wins the quiz. And then for the ones we are left, and for the listeners, we'll throw a few clues.
Alan Smith.
Alan Smith earned 2 caps in 2007. That is correct.
Smith.
And the hint I was going to give you, before the Carabao Cup, this person was the last person to lift the trophy for Newcastle.
Oh, Scott Parker.
Bingo.
Scott Parker earned 1 cap for England as a Newcastle player in 2006.
What?
And then we have 3 players remaining. I'll give you some clues, lads.
Oh, I think I know another one. We signed one from Man United. Got a bicycle kick for us. It was mental. Nicky Butt.
Nicky Butt, 2004, 4 caps for England as a Newcastle player. Right, lads, we're down to the final 2. And these 2 players have something in common. And the thing that these 2 players have in common is a glorious head of hair.
The head of hair. I know one of them.
Oh, is it Darren Peacock?
It is not Darren Peacock, but you're on the right track.
Andy Carroll would be one of them.
Andy Carroll is one cap as a Newcastle player in 2010 before he fecked off and followed that path to Liverpool that other people seem to be fond of.
The quiz should have been how many Newcastle players can you name with a ponytail? Andy Carroll.
This final player, also known for a glorious head of hair. Chriso, I would imagine that around the time this player had that head of hair in the mid-90s, circa 94, 95, you probably had a similar
I did.
Glorious.
Blonde hair.
Oh, Barry Venison.
Barry Venison is correct. 2 caps in 1994 and 19.
I win. Come on. I win, right? No.
I think that Barry Venison's haircut wins this quiz tonight, folks. So put the respect on that glorious head of long, luscious blonde hair. And on that note, we've talked enough about hair between hair tablets and blonde hair.
It's coming. The hat is coming off. It's got 8 episodes left, lads, before I
8 episodes.
Get it out.
Oof. Alan, did I mention I'm away?
Yeah, I'm going away indefinitely myself.
I might do a solo podcast. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled, folks. We are 9 weeks away from episode 100. We're going to be doing something special for it as well. And there's loads to happen in between. We've got meetups. We've got the newsletter coming, as Chriso alluded to. The away date. So many things happening. Check out all of it on the Irish Mag socials below, on the irishmags.com as well. And keep an eye on all of the WhatsApp groups. We'll be back for more Irish Magnus next week. Hopefully 3 points picked up against Wolves. And we'll be previewing Newcastle United against Barcelona in the Champions League. Big thank you to Chriso and Alan for joining me. A big thank you to everyone who's tuned in and listened. How are the lads? Slán go full. We'll see you all very soon.
Slán.
Good luck.